Get ready, because today we're going to take a deep dive into all things testosterone.
Yeah, testosterone. It really is a fascinating hormone.
We're going to figure out how it's made. We're going to bust some myths.
Yeah.
And most importantly, we're going to learn how to optimize it.
It's not just a male hormone. It's really something much more than that.
Yeah.
You know, it impacts energy levels and mood and muscle growth and brain function.
So where does it even come from?
Well, it all starts up in the brain in this little area called the hypothalamus.
Okay.
And it kind of works like a chain reaction. So the hypothalamus releases this hormone called GnRH.
Right.
And that GnRH, think of it like the first domino.
Gotcha.
It sets off this whole cascade of events.
Okay, so the domino falls and then what happens?
Well, that first domino, GnRH, triggers the pituitary gland.
Okay.
And the pituitary gland then releases two more hormones, LH and FSH.
Right.
So these hormones are like messengers. They're carrying instructions from the brain all the way down to the testes.
Makes sense.
And then in the testes, LH, that's one of those messenger hormones, stimulates these special cells called Leydig cells. And guess what those Leydig cells do?
What?
They pump out testosterone.
So it's like a well-coordinated system, right?
It is. Like an orchestra, each hormone plays its part.
Now, I know things can go wrong at any point in this process.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There can be problems with testosterone production, both in the brain, maybe like mineral deficiencies or inflammation.
Okay.
Or in the tests themselves, things like receptor defects, micronutrient deficiencies, enzyme deficiencies.
So there isn't just one thing that can throw your T levels out of whack, right?
Right, exactly. Okay. It's like having multiple weak links in a chain.
Now, I've got some fun testosterone facts.
Right.
Did you know that testosterone actually helps build your blood?
That's right. It increases hemoglobin and hematocrit levels.
Wow.
And it actually also fights stress by decreasing those stress hormones from the adrenals.
That's pretty cool.
The more we learn about testosterone, you know, we see its impact all over the body.
Yeah.
Like it even affects your blood flow by acting directly on that nitric oxide pathway.
And I read that your finger length can tell you about your testosterone exposure back when you were in the womb.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating, isn't it? A longer ring finger compared to your index finger is associated with higher testosterone levels during development.
Speaking of fascinating, we got to talk about DHT.
Yeah, DHT.
That's testosterone's more potent cousin.
It is. Often it gets blamed for hair loss, but it really is a vital hormone.
It's actually 4 times more potent than testosterone.
Right.
And it sticks around longer, too.
Yeah, it binds to those androgen receptors for a much longer time.
DHT is also a powerful estrogen antagonist. So it helps to kind of counterbalance those effects.
Yeah, very important for men.
And get this, research suggests that it might even help suppress cancer growth.
It's true. And, you know, DHT plays a big role in those characteristics that we think of as masculine. Like, you know, a deeper voice, facial hair, a strong libido. It's not all bad.
Okay, let's tackle some myths. First up, the age myth.
Right.
We're always told that testosterone just goes downhill as we age.
Yeah.
Is that the whole story?
Well, not necessarily. Studies on what are called primal populations, those are groups that live in environments more like our ancestors, show that older men actually maintain pretty healthy testosterone levels.
So it's not just an inevitable decline?
No, lifestyle matters a lot.
So there's hope for us yet?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, what about the myth that high testosterone makes you aggressive?
That's a common one, but research actually suggests the opposite.
Really?
Guys with higher testosterone might actually be calmer.
Why would that be?
Well, it might be because testosterone can actually enhance alpha brainwave activity, which is associated with feeling more relaxed and alert.
So instead of a raging bull, it's more like a Zen master.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I like that.
And, you know, another big one, the heart attack myth.
Right, the idea that if you have high testosterone, you're just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, that's just not true. The data shows that testosterone can actually protect the heart.
Interesting.
And it's not a cause of heart disease.
So what about the prostate? Isn't high testosterone bad for the prostate?
That's another misconception. Studies don't support that.
Okay.
In fact, the prostate actually regulates its own DHT levels, which are way higher than in your blood.
So what's the real culprit behind prostate problems?
Well, it seems like stress and elevated estrogen, not testosterone.
So lots to think about there.
Yeah.
Now, last myth we got to address, hair loss.
Right. We talked about DHT and hair loss, but it's not the whole story.
Right. If it was, every guy with high DHT would be bald.
Exactly. The key is understanding that DHT levels in the scalp actually go up when there's low oxygen. often because of muscle tension. So when your scalp muscles are tight, blood flow decreases, which means less oxygen gets to your hair follicles.
Ah, so it's more about the health of the scalp than just DHT itself.
Exactly. It's about those underlying factors.
Okay, so we've busted some myths. We've looked at where testosterone comes from. What do we do with all this information?
Well, now we got to figure out how to boost those T levels.
Yeah, that's the exciting part.
And that's what we'll get into next.
So let's get into how to boost those T levels naturally.
Okay.
And where better to start than with sleep?
Yeah, sleep is absolutely crucial. It really is. It's not just about the quantity, it's also about the quality of sleep.
Right, so you can't just pass out on the couch for 8 hours and call it good.
No, you really need that deep, restful sleep. I mean, even a small amount of sleep deprivation can mess you up for days.
Really?
Oh yeah, for some guys even a whole week. It's like, when you crack a little, you crack a lot.
Sleep is important.
Yeah.
Got it. So besides sleep, what else can we do?
Well, something most people don't think about that much is clean water.
Okay.
You might have a filter and think, I'm good. But a lot of those filters, even the expensive ones, don't get all the bad stuff out.
You're talking about pesticides and herbicides and all that.
Pharmaceuticals, microplastics, all sorts of things that can really mess with your hormones.
Including testosterone.
Especially testosterone.
So what do? Buy bottled water.
Well, not necessarily. Look for a high-quality filtration system.
Okay.
Something like a distiller or a system that removes a wider range of contaminants.
Gotcha. Now, this next one is a little unconventional.
Okay.
Free balling.
Ah, yes.
It might sound out there, but the source material really emphasizes this.
Well, and there's good reason for it. When you wear tight underwear all the time, it increases the temperature down there. And that can actually affect sperm production and your T levels.
To let those boys breathe.
Exactly.
What about exercise? How does that fit in?
Well, a lot of people think you got to be super ripped to have high testosterone.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's about finding activities that challenge you.
Okay.
And that you enjoy.
I think a lot of guys forget about rest and recovery too.
Oh, that's huge. Rest is your superpower. You need time to recharge and rebuild.
So it's not all about pushing yourself in the gym.
No, it's about balance.
Now, what about this term xenoestrogens? I've heard that before.
Yeah, they're these endocrine disruptors, kind of sneaky,
Okay.
that mimic estrogen in your body.
So they mess with your hormones.
They do, big time. And they're everywhere. You find them in plastics and pesticides and some foods even.
So how do you avoid those?
Well, awareness is key. Choose glass or stainless steel over plastic.
Okay.
Opt for organic produce when you can. And just be mindful of what you're putting in and on your body.
And speaking of what you put in your body, what about diet?
Diet is huge. You want to focus on whole, unprocessed foods, primarily animal sources.
So like grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish.
Yeah, pastured eggs, healthy fats. Don't forget fruits and vegetables, though.
So it's all about giving your body the right fuel.
Exactly. You got to fuel that engine.
And don't forget self-care.
Ah, yes. Self-care is important for everyone, not just women.
As guys, we tend to forget about it.
Yeah, we get caught up in, work and pushing ourselves, but taking time to recharge is essential.
So what kind of self-care helps with T levels?
Well, think about massages, grooming, maybe a spa visit.
Okay.
And even supplementing can be a form of self-care.
So it's about investing in yourself.
It is. And, exploration and adventure are good for you, too.
Right, like getting out of your routine.
Yeah.
Challenging yourself.
Absolutely. It could be a trip to a new city, spending time in nature, anything that sparks that sense of adventure.
Now, what about purpose? How does purpose tie into all of this?
Well, having a sense of purpose, something that drives you, is really crucial for optimizing testosterone.
But how do you find that purpose?
That's the journey, right? It's about exploring your passions, what lights you up.
Right.
Ask yourself what impact you want to make on the world.
It's like your own personal mission statement.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to dream big. Break those big goals down into smaller steps.
And you don't have to do it alone.
No, absolutely not. Find mentors, build a network, ask for help when you need it.
Before we move on, can we talk more about that primal lifestyle you mentioned?
Sure.
It seems like those guys have it figured out when it comes to testosterone.
Well, the primal lifestyle is really about aligning yourself with nature.
Okay.
Minimizing those modern stressors like artificial light and processed foods and chronic stress.
So it's not about living in a cave, it's about incorporating those principles.
Exactly. It's getting back to basics: sleep, sunlight, natural movement.
Right, healthy food, meaningful relationships.
All of that.
It's amazing how those simple things can have such a big impact.
Our bodies are designed to thrive in those natural environments.
So it's not about some magic pill or quick fix.
No, it's about a lifestyle.
Now, I have to ask about testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah, TRT.
Is it ever necessary?
Well, it can be helpful for some men, but it's not something to take lightly. You really got to work with a qualified healthcare professional.
And it's not a cure-all.
Definitely not. You still got to address those lifestyle factors.
So if you're thinking about TRT, talk to a doctor who specializes in men's health.
Absolutely. They can help you figure out if it's right for you.
So, are you ready to move on to the final part of our testosterone deep dive? We're going to talk about DHT in even more detail.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about DHT. This is a hormone that gets a lot of negative attention.
It does, yeah.
But it's super important for men's health.
For sure.
So what is it and why does it have such a bad reputation?
So DHT is basically, it's derived from testosterone, and it's actually more potent than testosterone.
Really?
Yeah. And it plays a key role in developing and maintaining a lot of the characteristics that we consider masculine.
So we're talking muscle mass.
Muscle mass, yeah.
Strength.
Deep voice.
Libido.
Yep, all that good stuff.
So why the bad rap?
It's mostly because of hair loss.
Right. What?
You know, and it's true. DHT can contribute to hair loss, especially in guys who are genetically predisposed to it.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole story.
Right.
Like we talked about earlier, there's scalp tension, inflammation, hormonal imbalances.
So it's not as simple as DHT equals hair loss.
No, it's more complex than that.
Now, you mentioned that DHT actually has some good effects on the body too, right?
It does, yeah. It's a powerful estrogen antagonist.
Okay.
Meaning it helps to balance out the effects of estrogen.
So it's not just about male characteristics.
Right.
It's about hormonal balance overall.
Yeah, exactly. And some research even suggests that it could protect against certain cancers.
Wow. How so?
Well, it seems to be able to suppress cancer cell growth, maybe by interfering with serotonin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how do we optimize DHT then?
Well, the good news is a lot of the same things that boost testosterone are also going to be good for DHT.
Okay.
Getting enough sleep, managing stress,
Yeah.
eating a good diet, exercise.
So it all comes back to that primal lifestyle.
It really does, yeah.
Now, if somebody is dealing with hair loss specifically, what can they do?
Well, there are things you can do to address those underlying factors.
Like what?
Like scalp tension and inflammation.
Okay.
You know, scalp massage can be really helpful. Stress reduction techniques.
Right. So it's about taking a proactive approach
Exactly.
rather than just reacting when something goes wrong.
Yeah, and remember, everybody's different.
Right.
What works for one guy might not work for another.
Yeah.
So it's important to experiment and find what works best for you.
Yeah. You're right. There's no one size fits all.
No. And you know, it's always good to work with a healthcare professional who can guide you and personalize things.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this whole testosterone deep dive, it's not just about chasing high numbers on a lab test.
No, it's about a lifestyle.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your overall health.
Exactly. Feeling energized, feeling confident,
Feeling focused.
living your best life, really.
So that's what we've been talking about, the science behind it all, busting those myths and figuring out how to optimize your testosterone naturally.
So, time to put this knowledge into action.
Yeah.
Start small. Maybe implement one change today and then another one tomorrow. Consistency is key.
And you're not alone on this journey.
That's right.
So as we finish up here, I have one question for our listeners.
Okay.
What can you do today to step into your full power?
Yeah.
What one step can you take towards a life that is truly in line with your purpose and your passions?
I love that question.
We hope this deep dive has been helpful and has inspired you to take charge of your health.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep diving deep.